Good afternoon, and welcome to Eastern Kentucky University's College of Education Spring 2016 Commencement Ceremony. In this ceremony, we will honor degree candidates in the College of Education. Now, the presentation of the national colors, and please do join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner and My Old Kentucky Home, sung by Cheyenne Jennings and signed by Priscilla Godfrey and Jamie Gleason from the Kentucky School for the Deaf.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by hard times come a-knocking at the door, then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away, for my old Kentucky home far away.
Please be seated. Parents, families, and friends, President Benson, Provost Vice, and distinguished guests, faculty and staff, thank you for joining us today as we celebrate our spring ceremony as our degree candidates celebrate this milestone in their lives. I'd like to recognize some special individuals on the platform who have joined us this afternoon. Please hold your applause so that we may honor them as a group. Please stand as I call your name, and please remain standing. Dr. Michael Benson, President of Eastern Kentucky University. Dr. Jana Weiss, Senior Vice President for Academics and Provost. Dr. Lori Carter, Executive Vice President for Student Success and University Council. Mr. Barry Pointer, Vice President for Finance and Administration. Dr. Tom Martin, President, EKU International Alumni Association. Dr. Jerry Gottschnick, Dean of the Graduate School. Regent Alan Long. Regent Brian Mekinen. Regent Richard Day. Dr. Faye Dieters, Interim Associate Dean, College of Education. Dr. Ken Engelbrechtson, Chair of Counseling and Educational Psychology. Dr. James Bliss, Chair of Educational Leadership and Policy Studies. Dr. Amy Milzinski, Interim Chair of American Sign Language and Interpreter Education. Dr. Karen Mullally, Chair of Special Education. Dr. Ginny Fair, Interim Chair of Curriculum Instruction. Please join me in expressing to them our appreciation for their dedicated service. Thank you. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael Benson, the 13th President of Eastern Kentucky University, a true gentleman, scholar, and friend.
Dr. Hayes, thank you very much. This is our fifth and final convocation for the 2016 commencement, and we're delighted to end with the College of Education. So to all our friends and family, supporters, and especially to our graduates, we welcome you to campus. Cheyenne, it's always good to have you back too. Always great to hear your beautiful voice. Thank you for your contribution today. Some of you may be familiar with the life story of Joe Sorrentino, as detailed in his autobiographical account, Up From Never. An impoverished kid from Brooklyn, Joe grew up on the streets. By age 20, he had managed to drop out of high school 4 times, served separate stints in jail, juvenile detention, naval prison, and the padded cell for incorrigibles at Parris Island. He was dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps and was in and out of some 30 jobs. Having failed at almost everything he started, Joseph took to street boxing at night and construction work by day. After missing a bus one evening, Joe passed a Brooklyn high school and noticed an invitation to register for evening classes. In that moment, he realized that education was the best chance at a better tomorrow. After enrolling in school again, his life, he noted, veered upwards. As the Washington Post article observed, Joe's grades were good enough to get him into the University of California at Santa Barbara, and he graduated magna cum laude. He re-enlisted in the Marine Corps to change his discharge to honorable. And at age 29, he was the valedictorian of his Harvard University Law School graduating class. Imagine the shock to find himself, only a decade removed from prison, delivering Harvard's valedictory speech before the likes of Henry Kissinger and members of the Kennedy family. The former street fighter would later become Judge Joe Sorrentino and was referred to by many as the best juvenile court judge in America. Horace Mann, one of the founders of the common school tradition, of which Eastern Kentucky University was born, once said this: "Education, then, beyond all the other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men, the balance wheel of the social machinery." The graduates today certainly deserve congratulations and praise. But each of you must remember that this is only the beginning of lifelong learning. You will venture out into challenging and dynamic professional fields. Some of you may even help create professions we have not yet imagined. You'll quickly realize that your education does not end here, but only begins. So continue to learn and improve during your life. As you do so, you will also enrich the lives of others and will continue to bring honor to your family, to Eastern Kentucky University, and to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. In conclusion, I hearken back to the great South African leader Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years as a political prisoner before becoming that country's first black chief executive. He wrote this in his autobiography: "I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom come responsibilities. And I dare not linger, for my long walk is not ended." Today, to be sure, is a time to celebrate, to steal a view, to take a moment, to rest, and to look back on the distance that you all have come. But I implore you, graduates, do not rest too long. There are still great mountains left to climb. With that, please join me in giving a round of applause to the graduates and all those who have assisted in their journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Benson. I would like to acknowledge the active members of our military and our veterans. Will all current military and all veterans please stand and remain standing? Please join me in thanking them for their service. Thank you. This afternoon, we honor degree candidates in the College of Education. In our College of Education ceremony today, we will formally acknowledge 152 bachelor's degree candidates, 140 master's degree candidates, 18 specialist degree candidates, and 23 doctoral degree candidates for a total of 333 degrees. This afternoon's graduates include many who have achieved academic distinction. We're proud of all those who are graduating with honors. But I want to recognize at this time 3 groups in particular. If you would, please hold your applause until all 3 groups have been recognized. Would all those who are graduating this afternoon from our nationally prominent honors program as honors scholars please stand and remain standing? Would all those who are graduating summa cum laude with a 3.9 GPA or higher please stand and remain standing? Now, would all those graduates who are members of EKU's highest multidisciplinary honor society, Phi Kappa Phi, also stand? Let us honor these 3 groups of outstanding student scholars. Congratulations as well to all others who are graduating with these honors this afternoon. Please be seated. Throughout her 109-year history, Eastern Kentucky University has been known as a school of opportunity, and we will always be proud of that distinction. I'm particularly pleased to acknowledge many first-generation college graduates who are among today's degree candidates. This means that neither their parents nor anyone in any earlier generation is a college graduate. Let me add, I too am a first-generation graduate. Never sell the importance of your education short. It can take you incredible places in your life. Will all the candidates for degrees who are the first generation in their families to earn a college degree please stand? Thank you. Commencement is also the time we recognize the many others who have contributed to the success of these candidates with resources, encouragement, occasional cajoling, love, and understanding, and even perhaps a little financial support too. I now ask the following to stand as you are presented, and please remain standing so that we may welcome and honor you as a group. Will parents of the candidates for graduation please stand? Will spouses of the candidates please stand? Will grandparents of the candidates and other family members, as well as children of the candidates, please stand? Thank you. Will the faculty and staff who've instructed and served these candidates please stand? Thank you. Degree candidates, please join me in showing your appreciation for these very special people in your lives with a very generous round of applause. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Amy Melzinski, Interim Chair of American Sign Language and Interpreter Education, who will introduce our student speaker.
Welcome. It is my honor to introduce our student speaker, Michaela Valuu. Today, Michaela will receive a Bachelor of Arts degree in Deaf Studies and a Bachelor of Science in ASL and English Interpretation. Michaela has contributed to EKU, serving in various roles such as a guru and the Secretary of the American Sign Language Association. She has been an avid volunteer within the deaf community. In Michaela's capstone course, during her final semester here at EKU, she was accepted as the first American Sign Language interpreting intern at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. While there, she collaborated with the Library of Congress Deaf Association and researched and planned 3 events focusing on the aspects of deaf culture in the community, in addition to working with the library's Asian American Association, planning an event focused on Samoan culture. As you can see, Michaela embodies what it means to be a colonel and places great importance on diversity, social justice, and equity. Michaela values her peers, her family, and her God. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to honor Miss Michaela. Vailu'u will now address her fellow graduates, the graduating class of 2016.
To President Michael Benson, to the distinguished members of the faculty, it is with immense honor to be here at Eastern Kentucky University, along with my fellow honorees, the distinguished and diverse alumni, special guests, family, friends, and all of those who are gathered here today. It is with greatest gratitude and honor that I address our most celebrated attendees, the Eastern Kentucky graduates of 2016. During our lives, we play many roles and develop many identities. Children, daughters and sons, becoming adults, students, researchers, professionals, and learners of life. When I arrived to EKU my freshman year, I was a young woman, California-born American Samoan, the baby sister of 10 overbearing siblings, and a graduate from East Jessamine High School. I had declared my major weeks before and was ready to see where the life of a political science major would take me. I was keeping my fingers crossed for law school. The following year, I became to develop new identities and grow into new roles. I became a sophomore, a suite mate, gym buddy, and then an undeclared major. By the second semester, I would declare a new major as deaf studies. I would begin the most rewarding experience of immersing myself in deaf culture and community. During my junior year, I was hired to do the best job on this campus. I became an EKU guru. I became an EKU guru while simultaneously combining my roles as a mentor, confidant, homework helping, mystical guru that could answer any and all questions any student on EKU's campus had to offer. In that same year, I became an applicant to one of the most prestigious American Sign Language interpreting programs in the nation, the program here at EKU. It was then that I set my eyes on a second major, American Sign Language interpreting. And then, at the end of my junior year, I became accepted into deaf culture and a community of students, faculty, and staff that I would depend on for the remainder of my time at EKU. My senior year, I became a student in Eastern Kentucky University's American Sign Language training program, interpreter training program, a member of a cohort that lifted one another up, pushed each other further, and challenged each other's ways of thinking, one another's skills, and probably more often than not, each other's patience. In 3 semesters, 20 students became course mates, friends, and ultimately, we became a family. The next year, I became a senior again in order to fulfill my second major, Deaf Studies. In this past year, I have become more than I ever thought possible. In October, I received the best news of my life when I was chosen to be the first American Sign Language interpreting intern at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., sitting just beside our nation's capital. In January, I became that intern. Not the one that is sent to get coffee or take messages. Instead, I became a teammate, part of a team that represented their name in all of their actions. I was part of the Interpreting Services program within the Office of Equal Employment Opportunity and Diversity Programs at the Library of Congress. As part of this program, it was important that I had taken EKU with me. The skill I learned working with the diverse students as a guru, the perseverance I learned climbing the rock wall, the encouragement that I experienced in floor meetings in Keene, Burnham, and Walters Hall, late night studies at our very own library. It was at the Library of Congress that I became self-aware of the many facets that make up the person that stands before you today. In most commencement speeches, you hear people to tell you to look forward. And I imagine if you are anything like me, you've been looking forward to this very day for at least 4 years, or 5. So instead, I urge you to look back. I encourage all of you to not only look forward to the jobs you will have, the careers you will pursue, and the positions you will hold. Instead, look at each role and identity that you have found and take them with you. Leave nothing important behind in your efforts to move forward. Look to your identities, to the roles you have played throughout your life, and realize that they have comprised the person you are today. What made you who you are? Was it being a daughter, a son, a mother or father? Maybe it was becoming a brother or a bother to your fellow students. Maybe it was finding a sister in a group of girls you will forever call family. Maybe you found a role in a department, team, or club. Maybe you found an identity in faith or spiritual community, a place in advocating for your right, or maybe even standing up for the rights of others. Our roles and identities will forever be the foundation of the diversity that we carry with us into the future. Our experiences at EKU will help us welcome diversity and inclusion with everyone we will meet throughout our lives. So, as you walk across the stage today, think of who you were and realize that your EKU experiences will always be part of who you are. Roles and identities are additive. Every new today is brought with lessons of yesterday. So although many of us are looking forward to the new people that we will become, remember this: no matter where you go, EKU will always be a part of your journey, and no matter which paths we take, which roles and identities we take on in our future lives, one identity will remain our shared identity. We will always and forever be a Colonel. Thank you and congratulations, Eastern Kentucky University Colonels, the class of 2016.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Carolyn Ball. Carolyn is the Executive Director of the Video Relay Services Interpreting Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah. Dr. Ball was instrumental in establishing the Video Relay Services Interpreter Institute in 2009 at Sorensen Communications, and she continues to develop and support innovative programming for interpreters and educators around the country. It is from Dr. Ball's humble beginnings where her greatest pride comes. As a janitor, she cleaned restrooms and swept garbage and took care of things related to the football stadium at Brigham Young University and the basketball stadiums too, after games. It was in the role of doing this work that she first learned to apply one of the many lessons she learned from her mother. No matter what your position, do it with pride, and always, always strive to be the very best. Dr. Ball took this lesson to heart as she cleaned restrooms better than anybody else. Dr. Ball is passionate about learning and teaching. The field of interpreting and interpreter education has been her mainstay for the past 20 years, and she is very much at home in the classroom. Her love for teaching and continuous presence in the classroom gives her a unique perspective as a historian. Her teaching influences her research, and her research informs her teaching. She continues to do every job she has well, and she does them with pride. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Carolyn Ball.
President Benson, Provost Vice, Vice Presidents, Deans, Regents, esteemed faculty, and our graduating class of 2016. It is very exciting, and I am very excited to be here today. When Dean Hayes asked me to speak, I looked up everything I could on Eastern Kentucky University, and let me tell you, there's some exciting things happening here. And I watched every virtual video on this campus, and I've decided that if I ever want to come back to school, I'm going to come here. I'm going to be a colonel. So before I begin, I must tell you, every Friday I get People magazine. People magazine has become my life because I love movie stars. I really do. In fact, because I look forward to this magazine every Friday, if it's not there, I'm very disappointed. And then it comes on Saturday. And so I read what's happening in the world through People magazine, which is the truth, right? Yes, truly. And because of that, I thought, I wonder if there's ever been anyone famous that graduated from Eastern Kentucky University. So I looked it up, of course, on the internet. It wasn't in People magazine. And do you know that one of the famous people that has graduated from your university is one of my favorite television program stars, the $6 Million Man? Do you know this? His name is Lee Majors. Now I'm going to tell you about the $6 Million Man. He was an astronaut. Now, this was in the 1970s. Many of you were probably not born. Many of you were. This was the only program that my mother would allow me to watch. I couldn't watch Wonder Woman because she was too risque. But I could watch the $6 Million Man. Now, who was he? He went up in space. The spaceship exploded. He came back somehow and lived, and they decided we could make him better, stronger, and able to do anything. So they used $6 million and built this man. They gave him an eye that could see forever. They gave him an arm that you wouldn't believe what it could do. And he could jump like you wouldn't believe. This was the $6 Million Man. He graduated from here. He played football here. In 1962, he played football here, and he was paralyzed for 2 weeks. After playing football here, that's when he decided to go into acting. So now begins the story of passion. My family, my mother is the oldest of 12 children. Yes, my grandmother gave birth to all 12. So she was pregnant for 9 years. That's a long time. And not only that, my mother had a brother named Blaine, and my uncle was crazy. He every year wanted a new job in every city or state that he could find. So one summer, he decided to move to Kanab, Utah. Now, Kanab, Utah is in the very southern part of Utah. Beautiful red rocks, and many westerns are filmed there. So one summer, while we went to go visit my crazy Uncle Blaine, guess what movie was being filmed in Kanab? The $6 Million Man. Now, my uncle he was the manager of the only restaurant in Kanab, Utah. Very tiny town, smaller than, well, this isn't a small town, but it was small. Now, my sister and I knew that we had to meet Lee Majors. You're a graduate of this university. So what we did was, there was only one restaurant. My uncle was the manager, so we knew one night they had to come in. They had to eat. So we bought an 8x10 photo of Lee Majors, and sure enough, one night the cast and crew came in to this restaurant, and we were able to get his signature. Yes, but my sister can't find the photo. I wanted to bring it with me, but we can't find it. However, that was the first passion of my life that I ever followed. The second passion was when I was 18 years old. I went to a baseball game in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And you know, AAA baseball, pro baseball, AAA. We went to the Idaho Falls Chuckers. Chuckers. The Chuckers are birds. Now, this was the farm team of the farm team of the farm team. But we went, and when we were there, we were sitting there with my friend, and as we were sitting there, two guys walked towards us. They were very handsome, and I wondered what they were doing with their hands. It seemed to me they were flapping them, kind of like this, next to me. And I saw them. I had never seen a deaf person in my life. And when they walked towards us, they knew my friend. And the one who I thought was the most handsome, we couldn't communicate, but he wrote on paper and said, "Do you want to go on a date?" So, of course, I wrote back, "Yes," because I couldn't sign yes, so I wrote yes. So Barry was his name. Barry had my address. Back then, you did not have to be afraid of who you gave your address to. He came to my house. He was riding a motorcycle. Now, in my family, there's 6 children, 5 girls, 1 boy. My father said, "None of my girls will ever date anyone that rides a motorcycle." Barry rode a motorcycle, but my dad couldn't communicate with him. So I got to ride a motorcycle. Now, Barry came, when he would come to our house, we would run away from the door because we were afraid. We didn't know how to communicate with the deaf person. And then we would get brave, answer the door, and Barry came in and introduced my family to a whole new world. Barry would bring in pads of paper. We didn't have Post-it notes then. He brought in pads of paper and began to teach us that there were ways to communicate other than speaking in English, which we did not know. Now, I don't know if you know the game Uno, but Uno you know, there's colors and numbers. Well, we thought we were so fluent in sign language because he taught us how to sign green and yellow and numbers. So we thought we were fluent. And so right when I was ready to go to college, Barry said to me, "You must take a sign language class." And so I said, okay. So I took a sign language class. Once I took that sign language class, I couldn't believe how much passion I had for deaf people and deaf culture. And then one day, I lived on the 3rd floor of this apartment complex, and 6 women in one apartment. Ever done that? I'll never do it again. But while I was doing it, I looked down on the 1st floor, and there, it seemed like there were thousands of deaf people down on this 1st floor, and I thought, what in the world is going on? Well, I realized, I didn't know then, there was only one show that was closed captioned, and it was a soap opera. And everybody would go to this one apartment to watch the soap opera. And I knew that there had to be someone that lived down there that was deaf. So I decided I would walk down and investigate who was this deaf person. So I walked down there, knocked on the door. They answered. I said, "Do you have somebody here that's deaf and that lives here?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "Could I talk to them?" And she looked at me a little strangely and said, "Yes." And so to the door came Leslie. Leslie looked at me, and I looked at her, and the only thing I could sign was hi, my name, tried to fingerspell it, and then I said, "Will you help me?" Leslie came to my apartment every day to help me learn sign language and to introduce me to the deaf community. It changed my life. You never know when you will meet one person who may change your life forever. That one encounter at the Chuckers game has made it now where I work for the largest company in the world that hires interpreters. You never know. And this reminds me of a story of a book I've been reading recently by Gloria Steinem. Gloria is famous for many things, but she's famous for being a reporter. And one day, it was in the 60s, and they said, "Gloria, we want you to go and write this story about some meeting that they're having in Washington, D.C. And Gloria said, you know, she had a piece of crap car. She didn't know if it would make it. And she said, "Well, they'll pay me to write the article. Should I go? Should I not go?" But she said something inside of her said, "I need to be there." So she went to Washington, D.C., and she went to this meeting. Guess what it was? It was the Martin Luther King, "I Have a Dream" speech. And because she had that feeling and she followed it, it changed her life forever, and she became a civil rights activist. For many years, she's still alive in her 80s. So my point, and what I want you to remember, is I never knew that I would meet Lee Majors. But when I did, that passion, that love for a movie star has never left me. Second, you never know one person that you meet. You've got to be open and accept that maybe one thing you do or see could change your life forever. And third, Gloria Steinem, if she had never followed that gut instinct, I needed to be there, she would never have met Martin Luther King Jr., and she would never be who she is today. So I hope that you'll be open to whatever happens, and that you see and that you feel in your life, that you'll be open to change or to meet and to follow your dreams. I congratulate you, and I hope that you'll do everything you can to be successful in your life. Thank you.
President Benson and Provost Weiss will now proceed with the formal conferring of degrees on our candidates.
President Benson, Dean Jerry Pogachnik will present candidates for graduate degrees.
Will the candidates for master's degrees please stand and remain standing? President Benson, these candidates have been approved by the faculty, and I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees. Will the candidates for doctoral degrees and specialist degrees please stand? President Benson, these candidates have been approved by the faculty, and I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
President Benson, Dean Lawrence Hayes will present candidates for undergraduate degrees.
Will the candidates for baccalaureate degrees please stand and remain standing? President Benson, these candidates have been approved by the faculty, and I present them to you for the conferring of their degrees.
President Benson, with the recommendation of the faculty, the deans and I present these candidates to you for the conferring of their degrees.
Candidates, the long anticipated hour has come. You are here with family and loved ones looking on. The faculty and officers of the university are gathered in witness and testimony to your conduct and purpose. Therefore, by virtue of the authority granted me by the Board of Regents of Eastern Kentucky University and with the faculty's recommendation, it is now my pleasure to confer upon each of you the appropriate degree, and do hereby vest each of you with the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Once verified by final grades, your diploma will be confirmed and acknowledged by the Great Seal of Eastern Kentucky University. Congratulations.
Will the honorary faculty advisors please escort the degree candidates to the stage? John Strada will now read the names of the graduates. Out of respect for the graduates, especially those whose name are to be called next, I ask that you please remain seated and hold your applause until all the graduates have been recognized and the recessional begins. Thank you. You ready?
Doctor of Education, Jeffrey D. Herron, Educational Leadership, Policy Studies. Brandon Lee Hibbard, Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Sarah Helen Taylor Vanover, Educational Leadership, Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Robert Maxwell Lakes, Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Sonia Englund, Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Ernest Luke McLeese, Jr., Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Linda K. Ballard, Educational Leadership, Doctor of Education. Lavtisha L. Robertson, Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Doctor of Education. Specialist in Education, Iris Mackenzie Isaacs, Education, Administration and Supervision. Educational Leadership, Master of Arts, Geronda Vernay McPherson, Instructional Leadership. Ashton Francie R. Chafin, Student Personnel Services and Higher Education, Master of Arts. Brandon Shaw Mandigo, Student Personnel Services in Higher Education, Master of Arts. Jennifer S. McKnight, Student Personnel Services in Higher Education, Master of Arts. Kimberly Ann Hope, Student Personnel Services and Higher Education, Master of Arts. Rachel Gilly, Student Personnel Services and Higher Education, Master of Arts. Megan Beth Martin, Student Personnel Services in Higher Education, Master of Arts. Phyllis Renee Duncan, Student Personnel Services in Higher Education, Master of Arts. Department of American Sign Language and English Interpretation. Ashley Hudson Green, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science. Carly Megan Jones, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Madison Carolyn Kohler, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Kayla Joanna Gabbard, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Megan Page Bishop, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science. Letitia Denise Owens, ASL and English Interpretation, Bachelor of Science. Alexandra Nicole Foey, ASL in English Interpretation and Deaf Studies, Bachelor of Arts, summa cum laude. Lisa Cheryl Milstead Young, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Keisha Gail Coleman, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Courtney Nicole Sutton, School Counseling, Master of Arts in Education. Jennifer Danielle Smith, School Counseling, Master of Arts in Education. Elizabeth Ashley Madison, School Counseling, Master of Arts in Education. Lindsay A. Edwards, School Counseling, Master of Arts in Education. Sharonda Renee Jones, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Caitlin Judith Callahan, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Stacy Marie Dumas, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Brianna Noel Holderbaum, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Angel Adon Vowles, School Counseling, Master of Arts in Education. Erica Marie King, School Counseling, Counseling in Education Psychology. Ariana Victoria Knoof, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Jonathan Robert Mitchell, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Brittany May Alexander, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Jonathan David Wheatley, Clinical Mental Health Counseling, Master of Arts. Curriculum and Instruction, Deborah Meadows Stroud, Gifted Education, Master of Arts in Education. Megan Nicole Borth, Gifted Education, Master of Arts in Education. Jenny Quinn Henderson, Secondary Education, Master of Arts in Teaching. Rachel Ann Watts, School Media Librarian, Master of Arts in Education. Brittany Kristen Ray, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Education. Stephanie Janelle Wilson, Secondary Education, Master of Arts in Education. Chad Anson Fife, Secondary Education, Master of Arts in Education. Christian Colleen Fife, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Education. Alexandra Ray Barjuka, Literacy P12, Master of Arts in Education. Susan Elizabeth Bradford, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Education. Amanda Lynn Schroetz, Elementary Education Teaching, Master of Arts in Education. Hannah Claire Payne, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Teaching. Lee Amber Snell, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Teaching. Laura Lee Hopper, Secondary Education, Master of Arts in Teaching. Nicole Lynn Jack, Middle Grade Education, Master of Arts in Education. Matthew Aaron Bailey, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science. Alan Michael Hensley, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science. Logan Craig Butler, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Hannah Jane Philowat, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Caitlin Lee Gray, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science. Maggie Michelle Neal, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Kayla Cheyenne Miller, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Amber Brooke Francis, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Taylor Lynn Stafford, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Emma Leanne Murray, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Rachel Noel Hubbard, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Miranda Sue Anderson, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Isaac Alexander Wynn, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Jacob David Morgan, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Michael David Johnson, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Stephanie Brooke Durbin, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Amber Nicole Tyra, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Cody Alexis Fox, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science. Catherine Marie Cooper, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Haley Morgan Foster, middle grade education, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Lauren K. Kleek, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Victoria Grace Critcher, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Lindsay Taylor Hainan, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Haley Leanne Flannery, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Kelly Elizabeth Bell, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Samantha Lee Arnold, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Kelly Renee Phillips, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Sarah Lynn Jones, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Caroline Grace Orms, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Eva Victoria Bristow, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Jamie Denise Bailey, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Rachel Michelle Goins, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Mary Elizabeth Asher, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Holly Carol Martin, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Caton Elizabeth Martin, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Courtney Danielle Isaacs, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science. Stephanie Laureen Floyd, elementary education teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Keisha Rose Hendrickson, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Amber K. Bowling, Elementary Education, Bachelor of Science. Samara Jeanette Brown, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Bethany Nicole Mills, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Melissa Nicole Sexton, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Anna Elizabeth Scott, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Ashley Ann Hartz, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Kelsey Lynn Hollis, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Samantha Ryan Smith, Elementary Education, Bachelor of Science. Megan Ryan Terrell, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Lauren Pfister Honiken, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Lena Elizabeth Reynolds, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Hannah L. Lockhart, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Amy Renee Shackelford, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Sydney Alexandria Eichard, Elementary Teaching Education, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Caitlin Ellen Miracle, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Camille Dawn Miracle, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Brent Alexander Roy, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Felicity Gabrielle Smith, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Rose Marie Hay, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Meredith Lynn Hayes, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Sydney R. Scott, Elementary Education, cum laude. Amanda K. Sizemore, Elementary Education, Bachelor of Science. Holly Michelle Gibson, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Rachel Ann Crowell, Elementary Education, Bachelor of Science. Katrina Marie Glass, Elementary Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Shakura Y. Spots, Middle Grade Education, Bachelor of Science. Shayna B. Combs, General Studies, Bachelor of Arts. Julia L. Brumfield, General Studies, Bachelor of Arts. Master of Arts, Rebecca Sonarub Cantor, Special Education. Sarah Elizabeth Hertz, Special Education, Master of Arts in Education. Lindsay Brianna Spalding, Special Education, Master of Arts in Education. Amanda Marie Luckett, Special Education, Master of Arts in Education. Cynthia Jane Bellman, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Brianna Lynn Hairston, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Whitney Mache Knox, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Emily Jordan Kidd, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Whitney Ray Shinnefield, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Taylor Raylan Luckup, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Felicia Wayne McDaniel, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Alexandria Yvette Jones, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Chelsea Samantha Maggard, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Amanda Ashley Rich, Communication Disorders, Master of Arts in Education. Casey Lauren McCary, Special Education, Master of Arts in Education. Adam Blake Patton, Special Education, Bachelor of Science. Samantha Pauline Ritter, Special Education, Learning Behavior Disorders, P12, Bachelor of Science. What's that? Okay. Shannon M. Neely, LBD P12, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Brittany Shantae Parton, Special Education, LBD P12, Bachelor of Science. Jordan Lynn Royalty, Special Education, LBD P12, Bachelor of Science. Taylor Christine Congleton, LBD P12, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Chloe Noel Whitaker, LBD P12, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Mandy K. Prophet, Special Education, LBD P12, Bachelor of Science. Millicent Ann Manuel, Special Education, LBD P12, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Casey Beth Ingram, LBD P12, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science. Tiffany Lynn Sowers, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Delaney Marie Gameri, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Kara Beth Singleton, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Andrea Gabrielle Austin, Special Education Teaching, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Erica Casey Sargent, Early Childhood Special Education, Bachelor of Science. Brooklyn Nicole Pennington, Early Childhood Special Education, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Chelsea Schulte, Early Childhood Special Education, Bachelor of Science. Brittany Nicole Sargent, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Carly Deanne Jarbo, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Destiny Suzanne Park Edwards, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Nikita Charisse Dell, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Allison Paige Tinsley, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Sarah Nicole Oliver, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Ann Zweigert, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Jessica Ruth Lewis, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Bethany Diane Grubbs, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Taylor Marie Cecil, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Allison Renee Lane, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Amanda Lynn Tolliver, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Brittany Beth O'Brien, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Emily Lauren Hall, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Charity Catherine Clark, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Rachel Jackson Chris, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science. Allison Marie Didio, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Samantha Jo Ball, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Caitlin Lee Plumley, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Allison Catherine Burton, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Rayleigh Jane Kirkland, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Zoe Ashley Myers, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Emily Ray Hauk, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Madeline Grace Moore, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Miranda June Carpenter, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Brittany K. Martin, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Rachel Martha Blades, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude. Shayla Lynn Evans, Communication Disorders, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Marissa Ann Merck, Deaf, Hard of Hearing Education, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Michaela Elizabeth Martin, Deaf, Hard of Hearing Education, Bachelor of Science. Kimberly Lynette Phelps, Deaf, Hard of Hearing Education, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude.
You've heard the phrase before that nothing is more important to an individual than their name. And of the last 5 ceremonies, 3 of the 5, Professor John Strada has done, I think, a yeoman's job, an amazing job of pronouncing all the names. So, John, will you please stand and be recognized? Will the class of 2016 please arise? Graduates, the moment for which you have worked so long and so hard is now at hand. If you have not already done so, kindly move your tassels from the right to the left, and congratulations. Please be seated.
Alumni are so very important in the life of a university, and we are blessed at Eastern to have the loyal support of more than 135,000 alumni. Here to represent the EKU International Alumni Association is Dr. Tom Martin. Tom Martin will now offer greetings to our newest alumni.
Thank you, Dean Hayes. Graduates, this afternoon you are joining a very special group of individuals, men and women from all over the world who have brought great honor to this institution by distinguishing themselves in their careers and in their communities. And today's commencement is a very special moment in your life. A number of your future experiences will be transactional. You'll buy a product or a service, you'll pay for it, and that'll be the end of that. But today we break out the robes and we perform this ceremony because the degree that you have earned is transformative. It is your ticket to the gateway of the world. Provost Weiss has said several times that EKU will be attached to your name for the rest of your life. It is a capstone of your success and the relationships you created with students and faculty that will last a lifetime. You remember the person that volunteered to speak to one of your classes, or the faculty member that's here today that gave you that extra encouragement, or the significant event on campus that motivated you to get where you are today? How do you ensure that the next generation of students that follow get that same opportunity? You see, the ones that have been hooded and the other ones that have gotten degrees, all of you have not been turned over to a ticket to entitlement. Far from it. This is your credential to responsibility. It is an expectation that you will pursue the world's biggest challenges head on and demand to be a leader. Be engaged, be encouraging, be extraordinary. Go Colonels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Please join us for reception in the Fred Darling Auxiliary Gymnasium after our ceremony concludes. As the recessional begins, please remain standing until the platform party has left the arena floor. Now, for one last time, let us recognize with a very hearty round of applause Eastern Kentucky University's newest graduates.